on the other, and it's going to be a classic, Jim White.
Well, why is there any reason to think differently? The sort of form that these two have exhibited en route to this final, knocking in 5, 7 racks at a time. It's been the highest standard that we've seen in the UK ever.
Right, then this is the lag. Very important for who gets the first shot. And remember, this is a long course pool. They play the best of...
Earl Strickland.
No, they play
a race to
17 racks. And it's winner break.
Rack,
so look out
race
for a
17,
guy reeling together some sort of
break.
form. The Hasserada World Pool Championship kicks off with this hit from Earl Pearl.
Intensity personified, Earl Strickland. And whichever one of these two is breaking the balls well.
Well, that's a super duper little lay on the top right pocket for Earl on the one. Look out for that. Look out for the wing balls going and the one getting into a sweet position for them. Also look out for cue ball control.
Well, I noticed right away, Sid, he's bringing that cue ball back. That's what he needs to do because that one ball's always floating past the side pocket. This is a big opportunity for Earl. In the zone, yes, he had a very fractious match with Takahashi in which he was actually warned by the referee about his behavior. But in his next game, he was in a different zone. And as Jim White put it, there are 7 Earl Stricklands. We think in this final, the gentle, business-like Strickland might entertain these people. If Earl focuses on the match and stays away from the distractions around him, look out. This man is capable of playing at a level that very few can cope with.
Absolutely. Off a tobacco farm at the age of about 10, 12, borrowed 10 cents to pop in the pool room and has never looked back. Hustler, he admits that when he was in 18 to about 23, and then he came out of that racket and was a founder member of making this the top sport it is in the world now.
Well, Sid, I can tell you one little statistic, that Earl Strickland has never been beaten in a major final. He's won 5 U.S. Open finals in the 5 he's appeared in. He's won 2 WPA world titles in the 2 he's appeared in, and 3 unsanctioned world championships that he's appeared in.
Did you detect any self-doubt there in that early interview about maybe I haven't got long left in me?
Yeah. Well, that one might have been down for someone that doesn't know Earl. If Earl's got any self-doubt, he never brings it to the match table.
Well, he's landed nicely with an angle on that 6. Crowd appreciate it.
And the youngsters have been here all week watching these champions. And this is
hoping
to
follow in their cue steps. As Earl looks to sink the cheese, as it's known in the beautiful jargon of the game, for first rack of the final.
A very ominous start from the Pearl. He's looking very focused, and he's keeping the crowd out of it. Francisco Bustamante, certainly a crowd favorite here, as one would expect. But if he doesn't get out of his chair, he doesn't score.
Absolutely. My friend Nigel Reese, the referee here, shaking with nerves, just like I was about 2 hours ago, because this is, I think, his first major final. We went to his local pub where he plays pool, and we ate Welsh lamb, and we played some pool. But he's nervous.
Well, experience is worth an awful lot in any sport. Strickland has been here before. Bustamante making his first visit to the final of the World 9-Ball Championships.
Rack 2, Earl Strickland to break.
Here he goes again. You would bet on him getting a couple down off the break, but the key thing is look for position to the low ball.
Oh, he's been kicked into the side pocket. And look at the lay of the land here for Bustamante. There's nothing Earl can do about that. That's just a bad break, and he has to accept it.
It's the roll, and that's the way it goes. Eyes fixated. They watch what every shot of the other guy does, particularly the break shot, to see what is positive action on the table.
In Francisco's semifinal match against Yang, young player from Chinese Taipei that many were touting as the player to beat here, he trailed 7-5, then rattled in 6 racks in a row with a break, the like of which I have never seen.
Hits the ball sometimes at up to 30 8.5 mile an hour. The great Mike Massey, trick shot artist, said, "Sid, you got to go see Francie Bustamante's break shot. It's a force of nature." And he's looking to put the red, I would think, in the same pocket. See, trickling the ball towards the middle of the table. Applying to science, keep the ball in the middle of the table, then you optimize your angle. So this should be an easy run out, Jim.
The key here, Sid, is from the 4 to the 6. Francisco's going to need a nice angle on that pink 4 to bring the cue ball down the opposite end of the table for the 6 ball.
And this isn't Flash Harry. This is an efficient way to do it. And you've got to be good. What an entertainer.
This is the key shot coming up right here. He needs to drop on that 6. Going to be pulling this ball off that side cushion.
And he's almost off the ball with bottom left. Spin.
He's got to clear the 9. And I think he may just be there.
I think that's a clear shot. I think for safety, I was going to say safety. For aggression, he needed another 3 inches on the shot. But should be to that 9 no bother now.
Just the wrong side of the 8 here, Sid. He's going to have to go up the table and back down.
With a bit of spin on the ball made to alter the natural angle.
And this is how cruel 9 ball can be. An unfortunate kick into the side pocket for Strickland, and how many racks will it cost him? 1 for sure, and counting. Bustamante and Strickland, 1-1 here in Cardiff. And the Philippines have come out in droves. Filipino fans all supporting their hero here in this match. And many of the Filipino players as well have stuck around to watch Francisco.
Well, they went wild up there on that balcony with Phil Taylor supporting Bustamante last night as well, the great world darts champion. And the Filipino fans and, the players really urged on Busty on every shot.
Well, you're going to see a break. Sid, you described it as a force of nature. He's got one of the hardest breaks in the game of 9 ball. And there's his very good friend and a man that he took out in the quarterfinals, the great Efren Reyes. And I don't have to tell you who he's supporting here.
Absolutely. Now watch, watch. Sometimes, Jim, he takes the cue out of the bridge going backwards. I'm not kidding.
You can see it even from here. Watch that cue come right out of the bridge hand, and watch the force and control exhibited by the great Bustamante here. Park that cue ball in the middle, but he's not landed on the 1.
Well, a rare event. A very productive break. Slaughterous, in fact, but no shot.
Once again, all motion using legs and his forearm just swinging through that plane.
He can wash his hair with his big toe. What an athletic, coordinated movement that break is.
Going to be pushing out, just looking for an area to push the cue ball to. And this isn't easy. Anytime the ball that you're snookered or hooked on is near a pocket, your limitations for the push out.
Everybody's eyes fixed on this. The push out is a challenge shot. You don't push to a snook or even a half snooker. You push to somewhere that you've got a plan for, because the opponent can put you back in.
Now he's pushing into an area here where I think, well, I don't think, I know, that's a full ball snooker. And Earl Strickland is either going to have to jump this or he's going to have to turn it right back over to Bustamante, and that took very little time.
What was the logic in that shot then, to rule to a...
Well, obviously snooker? Francisco can jump the ball. Strickland not nearly so adept.
So, he's going to get the short tackle. A precision instrument. Now, the theory on this is to hit the ball extreme force, and at this distance it won't be volleying, it won't bounce. He will hit the 1 on the flat.
Did he ever? And Earl leading the applause. A great shot. Even Strickland acknowledging that.
Didn't we say it was magic?
Right into the heart of the pocket.
So look again. See the point I made, that the ball jumps over the one ball and then it bounces twice and then you get it. So it's best to go in on the volley or just after. Blue 2, I think, easily clears the black.
Well, I'm not so sure, Sid.
Huh?
Even if it does, he's taking the cue ball away from the 4 ball, the next ball on, so even if Francisco decides to attack from here, position isn't guaranteed.
Is there any kind of safety option down behind the 9?
No, I think it does. He's looking to just float this in and hold the cue ball just into this area to leave the 4 on. At least that's what he had a quick look at. Let's see if he can kill the cue ball there.
That's the key to this. The pace of the white. Brilliant. Jim said that was a float shot. Thin contact.
Now, Sid, he's going to have to play a billiard. In slotting this 4 into the corner pocket, he's going to take the cue ball into the 5. And look how low he sights. Well, he's pulled away. That was a very thin cut. And as low as he hit on that cue ball, it looked impossible to avoid contacting the 5, but he pulled it away. Look at this. Watch that
Great
cue ball.
example, as you see, of the cueing. I mean, he sometimes is almost cueing half off the ball. So clever at putting spin, what they call English, the Americans call English on the ball.
And remember, this was from the push out into the hook.
So you were dead right about his plan. He knew Earl wouldn't fancy the jump shot, but he did.
And a perfect angle on the 7 to go back up for the 8. This
Absolutely.
has 2-1 written all over it.
And it's winner break, so we could see the first of a reel of racks. Earl would be reeling. As Francie put him on the rack. Here you go. What's the position here? He's got an angle to go into the cushion.
He's perfect, Sid. His
Throw
choice. Just pull it straight back for the 9. And Bustamante's starting to look very comfortable.
Pull isn't very apt word because they do have that white on the elastic. This then for Francie to take a 2-1 lead in the final. You could hear a sliver of choke drop here in Cardiff.
The 9 slotted into the corner pocket. Francisco Bustamante, 2-1 ahead of Earl Strickland. It's a race to 17, a long match, and a match to decide the champion of the world here in Cardiff. And right now, Bustamante all set to break off in rack number 4. But what a shot he pulled out here.
Yes, that was the shot that he knew Earl would probably not take on. But his own expertise with the jump cue shown here to perfection from that angle.
Doesn't matter how many times you look at that, you can't fail to be impressed by how he negotiated that escape.
And you'll have worked out, and so will Earl, why there was no shot on after the break. So he'll have made some minute adjustment, probably, looking to get 3 or 4 balls down, and a good shot on the low ball.
Well, you just saw what Earl Strickland sees, the style of Bustamante. It's cost 2 racks, and he's on the 1.
Is he ever?
Just watch the force. Eyes not leaving that cue ball until it explodes into that diamond cluster of colors.
Any tricky ball? As we see that immense balletic, coordinated, athletic break. Is there a problem, Jim, with that pink?
2-4 is the only problem. And you can see he's going to be pulling back here to get the cue ball close to the center of the table to leave an angle from the 2 to the 4.
Pull shot, the same as the draw shot. Involves coming in below halfway down the ball. And the lower you hit, the more acute your angle of pull will be.
He'll ensure to leave himself an angle here too in pocketing this 2 ball. He'll try and just pull the cue ball off the cushion and bring it back into this area to leave the 4-ball on.
He doesn't want to be straight on this one. He wants to be at an angle for taking the ball. Well, this is... Wait a minute. Is this clippable, and can he draw it off the cushion out the other end?
He's got a little more angle than he would ideally have liked, Sid. And that's what's taken him a little extra time.
So he needed another, what, 9 inches on the shot?
If he could have just pulled that back to where I had the X, the shot would have been a lot easier, and the cue ball much easier to control to the 6.
Well,
a tough pot, this one, and he's got to have it. The speed it'll be traveling, it's either in or over the pocket.
it's in.
Oh, what a lovely touch on the 6.
And that's good in, Jim. Brilliant.
Look at this effort, though, from Bustamante here. Slicing that 4 down the cushion and just feathering the 6 for position.
So he's looking very good for 3-1 in this race to 17 and the world title. Oh!
Unforced error. The first of the match. He can't believe that 6 stayed up.
So, Steppy and Earl, fill your boots, son. As Busty winces at this miss.
I'm not so sure it didn't kick. Looked like it skidded after it contacted the cue ball.
Deep screw, spinning the ball back.
And I take it
this
back.
This has got an easy shot to come off the cush and back down.
If that 6 did kick on him, then that wasn't an unforced error. That was just bad luck. But this 8-9, a formality for Earl.
Sure is. Remember, winner breaks, so we could be at a pivotal moment in the match as Earl rescues this situation. 2-2 apiece. Long way to go in the final, though, and they're going to see more from each player.
Welcome back to the Cardiff International Arena. It's the Hasseröder World 9-Ball Championships, and it's coming to you live and exclusive here on Sky Sports. Well, we just saw Bustamante suffering in his chair and a failure at this 6, and we're going to give Francisco the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say that that ball skidded on him and kicked.
I'm with you there, Jim, yeah. But it's 2-2. We have not as yet had any of the predictions of what the experts said, that there will be runs of 5 and 6, and because of mistakes like that. But in the stroke Earl was in, Strickland, the last time out,
2-2.
It won't be long before he strings a few together. And when Earl strings, he strings pearls.
4 in the books here in Cardiff, and Strickland all set for rack number 5. And he's on the 1.
Yeah, that extra little run on the blue too cleared the pocket for the pearl. Now, the great thing about the pearl I've been hammering this week is that he never ever has any self-doubt. A good friend of mine, Mark Johnson Allen, said some snooker players say the first sight is the best sight. And sometimes when Earl plays, he plays on that principle. I've got the execution, no self-doubt, just get in and whack him. So he probably rattled through these lots very quick. Classic back and forth shot.
Well, he's got a little more angle than he wanted, though, Sid. Getting back to the 3 here is going to be a tall order. You can see how thin this is. He's going to have to try and pull this and get it past the side pocket.
So position the key thing here, Jim says.
Whoa, what an effort there from Earl.
Well, yes. Knowledgeable audience, excited audience. A excited commentary team, but the class is going to come out. We've seen 2 fantastic positional shots and a wonderful jump shot from Bustamante, and we're only in the rack 5.
Well, Strickland made that look easy, and I can assure you it was far from that. Look at this. He's got that cue ball dancing right now. This 5 will pass the 7, and he doesn't have to do much with the cue ball. He's coming to have a look, but I can tell you we're right down the line, and that 5 does go. He won't be able to play it at speed, Sid, but he doesn't have to.
Absolutely. Sometimes you get out the broadsword, and sometimes all you need is a poignard. That's a French kind of knife. Sometimes it's finesse, and sometimes it's the clubbing brutality of the break. But Earl will finesse his way to the 9 ball here.
Just slightly overdrew that. Should pose no problems, though. Just off the side cushion and back into the middle for the 7.
Again, the back and forth shot. That's parallel with the head string. So he's got the angle to draw the ball back down the table here, I think.
Well, these guys are really motoring, wasting little time in carving through these racks. And this 9 to reestablish the early lead that he enjoyed. 3-2 Strickland over Bustamante here in Cardiff. And Earl will be breaking in rack number 6. But that was a break and finish.
Absolutely true. Fastest growing billiard sport in the world, 9 ball pool, particularly making people very happy in Asia and the Philippines. Francisco Bustamante suffered a family bereavement earlier this week. People thought he might well leave the competition, but with the bonding with the rest of his Filipino colleagues, I think his mind was focused on this as some kind of assuaging of the grief.
And also said, out of respect to the players that he knocked out of the tournament, to have withdrawn as many thought he may have, well, he just didn't feel that was showing his fellow colleagues in this event the respect that they were due. And
rack 6, Earl Strickland.
What an
break.
effort from Bustamante.
3 racks to 2.
And certainly, I'd say 95% of the people here in attendance, and probably the ones at home, are certainly on the side of Francisco and wishing him all the very best.
Well, the absolute roar for Earl, but there was an avalanche of applause for Francie when he came out.
Well, mark that down. That's one of the few times I've seen Strickland fail on the break. Apart from when the cue ball goes into a pocket, not often do you see the wing ball not find that corner pocket. You can see all the different terminologies on either side of the Atlantic.
And if somebody starts talking about the cheese, that's the 9 ball.
And Earl is really focusing on this match. He's not offering any conversation to any of the people sat around him, as we saw in his quarterfinal match against Takahashi, the one that actually drew the ire of Nigel Reese, our head referee.
That's right. He did say at one stage to Earl that his behaviour was starting to infringe on the other player. He's referring to Takahashi's jump cue, and he said, I may give you a card, and it might be more than a yellow one. So Earl was warned in that match. But again, his next match, he was a pussycat.
Francisco's pushed out to where Earl really can't attack this 1 ball. So it's going to be nothing more than containment from either player. Far too thin of a cut to try and attempt it to the top left, and not really enough of the yellow showing
if you're new to
for
the
an
game,
easy safety.
You have to hit the low ball, in this case the 1, then proceed through to the 9. But if you see a plant or a cannon at any time from the low ball to another ball, you can pot it, or the 9. So this looks pretty good snooker.
It looks like it's there, Sid. Our first look in. I don't believe Francisco can get through to this. He's having a quick check. And if he can't, he's going to be kicking at this off 2 cushions.
Kick, a technical term, means the contact cushion first before the object ball.
This is the way he'll attack this. And that's assuming that he can't see it dead on. And there you can see that he can.
You can see 3/4 of the ball, yeah.
The safety again. Not easy from here. But if he doesn't fancy the kick shot off the 2 cushions, he'll be playing it straight. But look how he cues across the white.
Well, that's surely unscientific. But does he care?
He's not going to like his next shot. He's coming down, and I can tell you that he should well be glued behind that 9 on his next visit.
So he wanted another half ball roll, did he?
He'd like to have got that cue ball behind the 2 in an ideal world. But Earl's just showing you right now. That
What's
one
he got in
knot,
mind here?
he's just going to hit that 1 ball dead on and park that cue ball in behind. That's assuming, again, that he can see this ball dead on. Maybe he can't, which means he's going to be kicking from the side cushion.
That's why I think he's gone to that position.
He had a look to see if he could make the 9.
Right, the 9! The 9 went in and out! Fantastic! It rimmed! It ran the rim!
He got the 1. Look at the 9. Everything but down to the bottom of the pocket.
Amazing shot.
But happily for Strickland, the 1 disappeared.
Safety in mind.
And that is the definition of a safety. Earl's shaking his head, but I think that's very well done.
Well, he is a perfectionist.
Well, it's just a question of whether or not he can get to that side cushion. I've got to believe that this is a snooker, but Francisco's having another good look at it. Well, you know what, Sid? I think he's going to masse this. Around the 7, and if he hits this right, he could even make it.
Oh, unlucky. Quarter of an inch off going in off the knuckle. But it's like giving Dracula the keys to the blood bank, letting Earl in here. Francie could bleed from this lead on the blow 2. Don't want to get too near that black.
Cue ball just turning away from the black at the last minute. Not to leave Earl hampered cueing over it.
Crowd enwrapped.
He's got a window between the 7 and the 8. If he can pull that cue ball back into the middle. Whoa,
And thinking
Earl!
about the position,
He's human.
he missed the pot.
And that is a glaring mistake from the Pearl there.
Very clumsy by his standards, that shot.
By anybody's standards.
You haven't seen me play.
Well, anybody in this tournament.
Yeah, nothing twitchy about Earl tonight, nothing manic. This is the Mr. Hyde Strickland we're seeing here.
Now Francisco looks like he's going to try and take this cue ball in behind cover, and he may even go after the 3 top right.
It's going into the cush about 4 inches too early.
But look at the cue ball behind the 4. That was part 1 of that equation. And that is not the sort of situation you want to come out of your chair to confront. But this is what Strickland bought for himself with that miss. He's got no one to blame but himself.
World final in Cardiff. 128 of the best came.
Well, he's
Two of the
staring
best here.
He was staring at somebody there, Sid. I don't know exactly who, but as he walked around the side of the table.
But does he have to have a reason? Oh, yeah. He's putting the glims, the evil stare on Efren, who's probably putting the evil stare on Earl.
He's going to the short cushion. Very difficult escape this. I think Earl will be very happy with that.
Absolutely.
3-2, he leads in this race to 17.
For the world title.
The winner, a check for $65,000, and more importantly, the crown. The Hasseröder WPA World 9-Ball Champion of the World.
The most prestigious event in 9-ball pool. Well,
had that cue ball stayed on the table, that would have been an evil snooker for Strickland to come in and confront yet again. As it is, it's cue ball in hand, and that could spell the end of this rack for Francisco. But watch how it so nearly stayed on the table before it disappeared.
cruel game.
There's no doubt about that, Sid. It administers the body blows while you wait for the knockout punch. And Strickland right now has a chance to deliver a few more body blows.
Will it worry him that the pink and the green are tied up?
He can place this cue ball anywhere he wants, and he should be able to attack that 4-ball. He's had a look to see if it's available, and I don't think it is, other than the pocket that he's playing the 3 to. So this is nothing more than personal preference. If Earl wants to try and develop that 4 and mature it into a situation where it is available, and the other option is to try and drop onto it to the same pocket he's playing this 3.
Will it help him to also develop the 6 by that route?
He'd like to have that one over again. That's a horrible shot. That wasn't anywhere near where he needed to be.
How much further up did he need to be?
He just tried to feather that into the cushion and around the back of the 6, and he overdrew it. With cue ball in hand, to turn it over after one shot is unforgivable. 3-2 he leads.
Especially as this could be the rack that puts a bit of air between him and Busty. He's looking for 4-2 in this rack.
Now he's got to kick at this from the bottom cushion. And he's just given cue ball in hand now to Bustamante, and that should surely spell the end of this rack.
There you go. Fancy. That says it. Very, very bad mistake by the Pearl.
Well, you just can't afford that. You know, you get cue ball in hand and you've got an open table coming in. He had his choices of how to attack that 4-ball.
So,
obviously, he tried to get a little too cute.
That's right. And if you call the Pearl, you can't afford to hit nutty slack shots.
But he is suffering right now.
So, Francie looking to stroke his way to a level game here.
Again, a nice angle on the 7 just to get that cue ball back into the middle of the table for the 8. And Francisco knows that 3-3 should be the score that he departs the table seeing.
Heart of the pocket, simple back and forth. And he's going to travel the white now. Heart of the pocket. What's the pace like? Well, pretty simple shot to bring the rack score dead level in the final. Confirmation, Jim.
Yes, it's 3-3 here in Cardiff. We've had glimmers of brilliance, sprinkled with a few unforced errors from both of these players, and the scoreline level. We'll be back with more 9-ball action following the break. The interested spectator there, Alex Pagulayan, as relaxed looking as you'll ever see him.
That's right. I think he's a bunch of. I'm a bunch of nerves. Just stand with Alex. It's tiring talking to him. Here we go. It's a level game, this final.
A race to 17 racks. And we're finally poised at 3 apiece as Bustamante all set to hurl into this break-off.
That's
rack
the word.
Number 7.
Hurly-burly pool, particularly the break shot. And the 9 nearly went in the middle bag.
And he's on the 2.
Yes.
He's got use for this in his line of work. Another look. 1 into the side, the wing ball down.
As the Minnesota Fats came out with a wonderful line about being a pool player. He said, I woke up in a gutter one day and I said, at least I've got a trade. Pool hustler game, much more formalized now and lost the hustler image. But the flamboyance of Tebboss's book lives on.
Spinning that cue ball over to the left side of the table now. All he has to do is softly roll this in, and he's going to leave the 4 into the bottom right corner.
Just feathers the knuckle. They do use the pocket, the angled pocket, not the bevel like on a snooker table. They use that to create better position, so they don't always shoot at the middle of the pocket.
Francisco took out 2 former world champions en route to this final. Countryman Efren Reyes in the last 8, and the last 16, the German star Oliver Ortmann. What a bracket he had to come through. And the young superstar from Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, like a Bollywood film star. He's going to be world champ one day.
Keep an eye open for him.
Here you go. He'll travel on the white off 2 cushions to the 8 ball, and there's bound to be applause by how beautifully he positions the white on the 9. He will make the shot easy peasy pudding pie. If he misses, he'd surely die, but that is just the perfect place to land that. The go-ahead.
And go-ahead he does. 4-3. Break and finish for Francisco. And the Filipino fans couldn't be happier. Their man back with his nose in front. Early days still. It's a marathon for the biggest prize in 9-ball pool.
There he goes, Francisco Bustamante. Django went to Kiel in Germany a lot of years ago, and he cleaned them. There were blokes walking around with their trouser pockets hanging out. He cleaned the place.
And everyone has come to watch. The biggest stars in the game. From 42 countries they came, 128 gained the right here in Cardiff, but thousands, tens of thousands qualifying for those 128 spots from around the globe.
It's thirsty work, pool watching.
4-3.
Rack number 8. 4-3 the lead.
Django looking to split him and sink him. Ooh, that orange looks handy.
And look at the position.
Oh my goodness.
This is what Yang saw in the semifinals. Planted into his seat for 6 racks. Bustamante can rack them together like nobody's business.
And we mean rack 'em as in Torquemada, the Inquisition. A dawdle of a run through here.
This is the sort of situation that if Francisco starts hitting the break shot like this, he's going to make it look so easy.
The pearl could well crawl back into the jelly inside the oyster. There'll be time for that if Francie stays in this kind of stroke. This for the first real opening of the match. It'll be the first time there's been a lead cushion between the two of them. 4-3, looking likely. Brilliant order here. Brilliant order.
Just a nice angle on this 6 to slide the cue ball across for the 7. Sid, I don't believe there's been a 2-rack difference in this final as yet, but we're about to see one now.
Absolutely. And if Busty gets his nose in front, he could make a road runner look like a tortoise. Casual, ease, indeed an elegance about the style. And this fantastic liquid use of the cue, and then it wiggles, and then it's dead straight through the cue ball.
He was the 1998 Player of the Year. And he comes into every event as one of the firm favorites. The 9 down, Francisco Bustamante, 5-3 ahead of Earl Strickland. And into the comfort zone, he'll be breaking in rack number 9. And if he keeps slotting that break the way that he is, it's going to take some stopping.
Yes, a multifaceted collection of people. That's the manager of the Filipino team in foreground there. The Filipino pool team, one of the proudest men around if Busty lifts the title.
Well, no one better suited to carry the Philippine flag than Francisco. He wants it to be flying very high when all the smoke clears here in Cardiff.
That's right. World final to pattern change. Level Devils now. Busty could be on the verge of
5 racks to 3.
Surfing ahead on that blue cloth that is like butter ice. It's so fast, there's no nap. So your control has got to be superb.
He needs that 1 to be clear.
Ooh.
And I don't think it is.
Well,
so often, Sid, we get tournaments where a lot of upsets see a player get through to the final. The one in recent memory, Ismael Paez, when he took out Strickland in the semifinals.
From what? Strickland 7-2 up in that match, yeah.
Well, this one, in this particular event, the most dominant players in the tournament have made their way to the final. Coming into this, Strickland had won 182 racks and dropped only 41. Bustamante, would you believe, 183 rack wins, dropping only 51. So dominant have these two been. They're definitely here by right.
Well, Nigel Rees-Hanks' his first major final, certainly his first world final, is on the case. Like Private Eye, he is close to the action all the time.
Looks like only safety here. You might want to just try and fine clip this 2 and run around the angles to bring it back in behind the 9 with the cue ball, and that's if it isn't on. Ideally, and the one should just bump off this cushion and come right back in behind the 3. That looks like one option for a safety. That's some diagram, that's it, eh?
Well, you win the Turner Prize, kid. Eat your heart out, Tracy Ehrman, that's art. So, well, sees what Francis left, surveys the scene. A controversial character, some nights. No kind of phasing or manicness in this final from Earl. He's given the game and the opponent massive respect.
He's kicking from the side cushion here. And he's going to be going in at speed.
Track a 2-rack deficit. But I think he may have set it up. Now,
He's left it, but it's a long, difficult one. Earl's starting to show a lot of negative body language as well. Just kind of thumping his cue down as he walked back to his chair. He's only 5-3 down. It's early days here. A race to 17, as you can see. But you certainly don't want to dig yourself too big of a deficit to have to try and claw out of.
That's right. As we see the difficulty of the shot, it's a long way. Oh, lost the line. Ooh, but it's rolled handy, I think.
He's left this one on for Earl.
Yeah.
And deservedly so, Sid. You take a shot like this on, you miss it, you're resigning yourself to leaving the one on. If you'd have got it safe, you know you'd have been lucky. But again, getting to the 2, he's got to get back into the middle of the table, or if he could power this to get the cue ball below the 2, obviously it's available to the side. But again, it just depends how much angle he has here on the 1.
He's trying to get position on the blue 2. There's the pot, and I do believe he's very sweet on the blue 2. Is he ever?
That's a tremendous shot from Earl Strickland there. He had to thump that 1 ball into the pocket and force it around the angles. And at that speed, no room for error.
Earl has been dabbling with snooker technique.
That was a bad shot.
Standing square onto the table because he's so impressed by Steve Davis.
He didn't need to hit that 8 at all there. Took a chance. That 8 could have stayed in the path to the 5.
As it is, should be 5-4 pretty soon.
One thing that you have to admire about both of these is as much pressure as they're under, you'd never know it to see them. And 5-4 on the cards.
Five. For the Bustamante is confirmed. Phil the Power Taylor came for a couple of hours. He's been here 3 days. Can't get enough pool. Just like us too. Welcome back to Pulsating, indeed Pullulating Pool in Cardiff. The World Pool Championship final. Earl the Strickland in play here.
Yes, the great Nick Varner, a former world champion, said that Strickland is the toughest opponent he's ever faced. I had dinner with Nick last night, and he said, if you see that look in his eyes, Jimmy, watch out.
Similar to our team member Steve Davis's look when he ran 3 separate nights. He dumped Reyes, he dumped Takahashi and Suki. That's that same I am here on business look about Strickland.
Another look at the break. He got a ball off the break, but he didn't land on the 1. The 1 ball just catching that point on the side pocket and going the wrong end of the table as far as Earl's concerned. And this is looking a lot like a push out here.
So I'll put you on the spot, Jimbo. Where would you push to?
Well, Sid, you know, he's having a good look. I don't think he can get, well, he can get through to the 1. But
Push
again,
out cold.
pushing out. He's just going to roll this to the cushion. Leave a little bit more of the 1 ball available. It wouldn't surprise me if Bustamante put him back in. Unless he can get through to the right edge. Then he can bank that 1 up the table and hopefully bury the cue ball. Mind you, having said that, there's no cover up the left side as we look. He's putting him back. Not terribly surprised. There's nothing easy about this.
So you think Earl will go for the defensive option?
I think Earl, he played a shot like this earlier, so there's no reason to think he's not going to do it again. I think he's just going to bump the 1 off the 2 cushions and let it float back into the middle and try and hold the cue ball in behind the 9. Let's see what he does. He left a
5-4
similar
race to 17, the world final.
Sorry, Sid. He left a similar situation like this when he pushed earlier. He's jacking up the back end of the cue, so I've got to feel that's what he's going to do. Well, he's played into the 9. Now he needs to, well, he needed to trust the luck a little bit, and that one worked out nicely.
Well,
what a sticky situation that is for Francisco.
absolutely. So he's got to go, what? 3-4 cushions to do this, does he?
Yes, this looks like about a 3 cushion escape, possibly 4.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, and into the 1 this way. That looks to be the only escape path.
And very, very hard to hit it, but very easy to dolly this 1 up for Earl after the escape. Let's take Steve McQueen on the motorbike to hit this one. He's just allowed to do it though. How's it running? Well, what did I say?
Shot, ball in hand.
Believe it or not, after contact was made with the object ball, the 1 never got to the cushion. Even though it was a fantastic hit, catching it, and look at how close that 1 ball came to touching that cushion. He still would have left it, but he'd far rather have left it with distance than given cue ball in hand to Earl. That was a terrific escape, folks, but you have to contact a cushion after contacting the object ball.
Yep, that was about less than 1/4 of an inch, and that'd be an excellent shot to be an opportunity for Earl to step in.
Earl's going to try and just pinch the pocket a little bit here and get the cue ball more into the center of the table for easy cueing into the 2.
Now, he's very straight on this.
Yeah, that's all right. He doesn't need to do anything with the cue ball, just stop it dead.
Yep.
You know, he's not quite as smooth as I've seen him look in this tournament.
That's right. There is a... as I said a lot of times, Earl has no self-doubt. So if they're there to be hit, he just walks up there and clatters them around as if he was in practice. But you're right. Well, and you can't legislate.
I just see some tightness in his arm, Sid. He's not releasing the cue. Even when he drew that 1 earlier, leading up to this, he's not letting the cue do the work. Earl is normally very smooth and fluid, and he gets through the cue ball better than any player in the world.
Yes.
And I just detect a little bit of tightness in his back arm. And he's like a mistake looking for a place to happen, and it just did. Everybody's watching him, and he knows it.
I think you're perfectly right about the stroke. It's knowing he has fluid as we've seen it when Earl's at his best.
There's already been a couple chinks in the Strickland armor in this final. And what he has to try and do is eliminate those mistakes. The unforced errors can prove so costly. You can see
Francisco taking a long time to work out.
Yes, there's not enough cover for Francisco to run to here. And he can't attack. The 4 takes the bank shot away. He's already had a good look at that.
Well, can he bank it? Oh, I think he's trying to cut it. Or is he trying to bank it across table at the bottom?
See that 9, where that 9 is positioned and he's smiling, it really makes it awkward. The only shot, Sid, really, as he looks, is to very slow roll it and try and keep the cue ball behind the 9.
Spot on, Jim, spot on.
The safety was just too difficult to put distance. Normally they like to try and get the cue ball and the object ball as far apart as possible. It never hurts. Now once again it's going to be a 1 cushion escape for Strickland. And he does seem to be distracted, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's something bugging him.
He needs to hit this, and again, trust to luck a bit. But the first order of business is he needs to hit it. Cue ball in hand, a 3-9 combination, a possibility here.
Well, that's exactly what Francisco has got in mind. This, to put a bit of blue water between him and Earl, this 6-4, this elementary plant.
And 6-4 confirmed here in Cardiff. Bustamante taking full advantage of all the Strickland miscues here. And he's 2 racks clear again. Strickland applauds, but he must be churning inside. And there is a man surrounded by confusion right now. Bustamante has to be feeling a lot better. It was a nice combination to end this rack.
So what you were saying about the stroke, the fat man said you've got to have oil in the arm, and that's what Earl has not got at the moment.
The key to success is like playing as if it means nothing when it means everything. But you just cannot get away with misses like this in 9-ball pool. At this level,
rack 11, Francisco Bustamante,
you'll be looking to get your pants pressed because you're going to be spending a lot of time in your chair.
He needed to bring his A game to this one to handle Buster.
Lost the cue ball there.
Power in that break, incredible.
Tons of power, but this time he erred on the side of power and not on control. That cue ball flew towards that side cushion, and normally he just plants it in the middle of the table. Bouncing to the side cushion and not on the 1.
Is there an aggressive option on this one?
Not at all. This is going to be a shot that, again, Francisco will be looking to stick Earl in the tall grass. And it'll be a poor shot if he doesn't. Mind you, he might be... I was going to say, wait, he was cueing. Looked like he was going to try and bank that into the bottom right corner, but it was always going to be safety.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Earl is going to hit this one. But it could dolly up so easily.
Well, this is a choice for Earl right now. And it looks like he does have available the 2 cushion escape where he may have to spin the cue ball to get into the 1. And if he doesn't fancy that, or if he feels it offers more safety value, he does have just a straight 1 cushion hit as well. So it just depends what he fancies here, Sid. And I think
coming in with a bit of right-hand side.
Look at that. Anything you can do, I can do better. The only problem now facing Francisco is the exact same problem that just confronted Earl Strickland, hitting it and getting it safe. And this one, about the same degree of difficulty to hit. But he again is going to be trusting to luck a little.
Where's the white gone? Very near. I think this goes to the middle bag.
And it does.
And it's an almost automatic drop onto the blue two.
Well, he may leave him in trouble because it takes the cue ball away from the two ball.
Oh, yeah.
No positional value there, so again, trying to keep the clamps on Francisco. He's only 2 racks in arrears right now. No reason to get desperate as yet.
Yeah. He's got ropes at the moment on the Filipino Tornado.
And this one's going to take some hitting. With that cue ball wedged up to the pink 4, Francisco looks like he's going to go 3 cushions. And Sid, hitting this a tall order, getting it safe, almost a minor miracle.
That's right. There's no trees down that end of the pitch.
Foul shot.
Cue ball in hand now.
One hand.
And the only problem for Earl is the 3 and the 6. The 3 and the 6 wedged at the top end of the table. And I don't believe that 3 is available to any pocket. So what Earl is looking at right now may even be the possibility to attack the 9 off this one.
Well, he was having a quick leg at it.
He did.
Sure was.
He did. If his other option is to roll through with the cue ball here and leave a nice angle on the 2 to try and dislodge that 3. That's what he's elected to do. And I don't know. This is close.
So watch the path.
He's going to go off the side cushion and try and hit it.
The white. Oh, passes.
It must be available to the top left, Sid. It didn't look like it was.
No.
It still doesn't look like it is.
Well, it's where it seems to be wedged up against the 6.
Well, I think Earl wanted to travel just a little further with the cue ball. If he'd have got it down into about 6 inches below where he is, he'd have been able to play a snooker easily. He should still. Well, it was available. That ball didn't look on.
Nope.
That was an amazing look there. There's no way it looked like that 3 went. Earl, I take it all back. You knew what you were doing all the time. But that one wiped its feet.
6-5 coming up.
And now waltzing through this rack. Strickland looking to pull one back and get to 6-5.
Screws over for the black 8. Gently drops onto the 9. This shot. 6-5.
It's tasty stuff here in Cardiff. Finally poised 6-5 in favor of Bustamante over Earl Strickland right now. But the Pearl all set to break off here, Sid.
And the Pearl flattered by the scoreline. He's made more errors.
We were talking about that during the break. I think that 6-5 scoreline is very flattering to Earl because there have been a lot of errors that have crept into his game in this match. And right now, he's looking to get back to 6-6. And there's no reason why he shouldn't.
No, there's a dolly of a 1. Position automatically guaranteed in the same pocket for the below 2. And has he got enough angle for the draw shot to the red?
He's in prime striking position right now. Nigel Reese will just clean the cue ball a little with his gloves. And there's that little implement that you see so often with the snooker referees as well, just to mark the cue ball and slot it back into that little groove. And now Earl can go on his merry way. Again, just ensuring to leave a nice angle on the 3 to get the cue ball back. The other side of the table for the 4, Sid.
Merry way it is tonight. Sometimes it's like Friar Tuck with bellyache, Earl. Other times like Alan a Dale. Tonight he's like one of Robin Hood's merrier lads.
He just had to miss that 7, and he did. That was the only danger there.
Do we like the stroke? Do you think the stroke's improving?
Watch that back arm. He's got a long, extended follow-through. He's always played lightning fast.
Yep.
But when you're going to be able to tell is when he's got a shot that's going to require a little touch. These ones he can hit all these. Something that's going to require a little bit of a deft touch. That's when you might see a little tightness in the cueing arm.
Here we go then. 4-6 apiece. As the final unfolds, 6 apiece it is.
Nothing to choose between these two champions. 12 racks now in the books. And no clear-cut favorite. Strickland will be breaking in rack number 13. And he's won the last 2 racks to get back to this scoreline.
It may be only rack and rail, but they love it. Rack 'em up, Earl, says the young man.
Beautiful set here. Very few empty seats here in the International Arena in Cardiff, and they have been flocking here all week to see the best 9-ball players. They've come from 42 countries to contest this championship, a true world championship of a cue sport.
Absolutely. Filipinos, Russians,
Rack 13. Earl
latch on
Strickland to break.
Chinese
6-6.
Taipei. But the nitty-gritty is between a very proud American and a very proud Filipino.
As Earl gets set to break into them. This beautiful Brunswick table. Well, Brunswick makes the pockets. Earl wants to fill them up. Another look at the wide stance, not nearly as animated as Bustamante. And he doesn't hit it with as much force either.
A lot more arm, not that, as Jim says, the stomach muscles and leg power that Francie puts into the break. Does he like this shot on the 1?
He can see this one, and it offers half a chance. The only problem for Earl is getting back down for the 3. He's got a wall of balls on the right-hand side there, Sid. And to get that cue ball back down for the 3, not that easy. And the option is to try and hide the cue ball. He could try and kill this and just bring the cue ball into this area in behind that wall of balls and bank that 1 ball up the table. Let's see what Earl does.
That's the shot in behind the wall. Jump shot an option here?
Not any longer. He's going for his jump cue. It's not an option, it's a guarantee.
Well.
Look at the 1-9.
Haha, yeah. He'll be going for it as a plant, not a billiard.
He's
Ready?
coming down to look at it. This is about a half ball hit on the right side of the 1. And he wants to get that 9 tracking towards that corner pocket.
That's right, keep your eye on the cheese. Oh, it's going to dolly up.
It's there for Earl now.
Sure is.
Just overcut this. And any softer and he wouldn't have left it on.
Going on about his stroke, is there any shot here that you think may illustrate if Earl's in better touch?
Well, again, he's in a position where he can hit these. We'll keep our eye open for something that's going to require a little bit of finesse. He's got to get the cue ball back up the top end of the table now for the 5. And this will be just drawn off that side cushion and up the left side. See there? He's left himself a much tougher shot than he should have. He didn't get into that cue ball nearly as well as he would have liked to. The 6 available to the same pocket, so he can hit this.
Yeah, and it's not really hard work to get on the 6 either. If this does go in, looking good to take the lead. 7-6.
Now a nice angle again to just bump the cue ball off that side cushion for the 7 to the same pocket. That was cued nicely.
So, Professor White is suggesting maybe some of the finesse back into Earl's game. Be a very handy time to take the lead and then get oil in the arm. It could be painful for Busty pretty soon.
Missable. A steady stroke needed here. And achieved the 9 down. Strickland with his nose in front, 7-6. He's not been in front of this match often. Can he hold the lead?
Chock-a-block with fascinated fans here. CIA, the Cardiff International Arena.
Yes, few empty seats. As we said, young and old, they've come to watch all the best compete for the biggest title in the world.
Leeds fans, Chelsea fans, fans of Q Sports, from pub pool through to the wonders of 9-ball. And when I say wonders, I mean them. We have 2 wonders, 2 geniuses on this table. Earl Strickland in action, trying to notch up another rack to take his lead to 2.
This is a match made in heaven between these two. The hero and the villain.
Well, he hasn't done anything bad in this game, but I know what you mean.
He's not on the 1. And Earl never one to hide his displeasure when the balls don't obey his every whim.
The eyes flash and the tash sags.
He can just get through to the right-hand side of that 1 as we look. And he does have a safety option here, but it is fraught with danger, and he's going to be bumping that 1 ball towards the corner pocket. He's got to take the cue ball back up in behind this wall of balls. And he's going to be leaving the 1 if he doesn't get there.
That looked a pretty finessey shot to me, Jim.
There's been a number of occasions Francisco's come to the table here and had nothing to do but to jump over.
Here it goes again. People would think it was the steeplechase season. All right. He's had 1 perler and 1 that missed by a long way. Stabbing down.
Now,
once again, the hello Dolly.
he's not getting any rolls right now. Every time he's missing, he's being punished. The only saving grace for Francisco Bustamante as we again see this jump shot successfully completed is he's bumped the 4 into a relatively safe position. It's available, but he's got to be in the right spot to attack the 4. And this is a missable. 2 Earls left.
Bustamante intent, watching every inch of Earl's effort here. Well, that's left the pocket. Well, oh, he messed up one end, but I think he's fluked snooker.
Well, that wasn't a fluke snooker.
Wasn't it?
He played that cue ball over in
50-50.
behind the 3. That was a
Apologies to
shot.
Earl.
That was a shot. He wanted to get it. He expected to get it. But in missing it, he knew he was going to be taking the cue ball over in behind the 3. But watch the action here. A little off to the side and very little follow through. I like to see Earl get through the cue ball a lot better than that. Nifty little shot there from Francisco. Not much room to maneuver that white now.
Well, we're talking about Earl's finesse. Could maybe see if it's spot on or not here.
Well, not much options here. Just put distance between them and bump the 2 ball to the top cushion. No choice.
Well, he can get a full hit, but what he'll be thinking, is he going to be thinking about a thin hit to take it along the rail and in?
Wouldn't surprise me if he took this on. A very thin cut into the top corner. Position would be guaranteed if he gets it.
Oh yes, what a shot! Crowd delirious! Bustamante's genius! One of the thinnest cuts you'll ever see.
What a shot here. And this is the 4 ball now. This is the shot. Just enough room past the 9 to slot this 4 into the bottom left corner. He's got to kill this with slow drag and leave the 5 into the same pocket.
Slow drag it is and back and forth. It's got to be said, I expected Francisco to get that blue because he is a genius. Him, Efren Reyes, the most amazing eyes and the most imaginative shots in the game.
The way this one is unfolding, this has all the makings of going right down to the wire.
Absolutely.
Neither player able to get any distance between the other.
That's correct. Now, it's going to flick this bottom and bit of check side to stop the distance being a problem. And this will hold the cushion as if it had been sellotaped.
Well, he hopes so. And it did. The 9 deposited. 7-7, the score reads. Bustamante and Earl Strickland. And they are unfolding an epic final here in Cardiff. Nothing between these two. Every mistake punished.
Yes, 2 of the greats. I mean, the Americans now allow foreign nationals into the BCA Hall of Fame. I would think Efren Reyes and Bustamante are penciled in for future induction. And it won't harm Earl's chances of getting in the Hall of Fame very soon to reach this final. It wouldn't harm him either to win it.
Earl's credentials are going to see him through into the Hall of Fame, regardless of what happens here. He's already won world titles, 5 U.S. Opens. Francisco Bustamante
to break.
will have to bow to Strickland in that regard.
But it could be decided on a mistake or a flash of pool genius. We shall see.
Again, he's losing that cue ball, Sid. If he lands on the 1, and he has. And look at the way they've unfolded for him here. Bit of a mishit, but he'd like to have a lot more mishits like this.
Any problems in that wall? Orange to black? I mean, is there any?
His only problem is the pink 4 ball. It's so near that side pocket. When they land there, that side pocket comes into play. So Francisco may need to try and drop in behind it. He's just looking to see if it's available into the top left corner as we look from our overhead camera. But he's going to be able to attack it from the blue too.
Stop shot. And now, what Jim mentioned, critical is the position on the pink after this blue dribbles in.
Well, he's going to play it into the side pocket, and this is a very acute angle into the side pocket. He's going to have to get the white back the opposite end of the table, so he won't be able to just roll this. He's got to hit it. Great shot there.
Oh, is it ever?
Pulling the cue ball over to the 5. Bustamante looking like 8-7.
Yeah, that was to within 1/8 of an inch of where he intended the white. Couldn't want a tighter final. 7-7. Looking like gonna be 8-7 in favor of Francie. Back and forth shot again. Parallel with the head string.
Firing rockets at each other, and neither one wilting. Gathering his concentration. There's a lot more pool ahead in this final.
Right, just tops it through to the cush to make it even easier. This shot, a bit of previous applause. I don't know why. He's not going to miss this. Yes! It's 8-7 in favor of Francisco Bustamante. It's the final. Cooks up.
There you see the trophy these gentlemen are competing for here at the Hasseröder Whirlpool Championships. I'm Jerry Forsyth. I'll be joined here in the booth momentarily by Steve Davis.
Francisco Bustamante to break, leads 8 racks to 7.
Francisco Bustamante steps to the table, leading 8-7. He's stuck the cue ball in the middle of the table, and the 2-ball has set up perfectly for yet another offensive display from Francisco Bustamante. There you see it. Not many breaks in the game any better than this man's. You can just move the cue ball just a little bit over to your left, and he'll be in great shape. Have a marvelous angle off that 4-ball to come back for the 5. Has everything he needs here to set up for the 6-ball onto the 7. Steve Davis has joined me now. Steve, quite a show these boys have been putting on so far.
Yes, but neither player dominant as yet. The crisis point in this match is yet to come.
Bustamante 2 balls away from a 2-game lead. Job done. Francisco Bustamante leads 9-7. And right now we're going back up to the mezzanine where Aisha will be speaking to 2 former world champions.
So Mika and Johnny, 9-7 so far in the game to Bustamante. How do you think it's going?
Well, I'm nervous just watching it. I'm very excited for both of them to be in the finals, but looks like if Bustamante can start controlling the break and create a little distance to Earl, you know, Earl's going to be sitting in the chair. Maybe it's putting a lot of pressure on him.
Johnny, Bustamante's playing with great control, isn't he?
Yes, he is. They both made a couple mistakes, you know, maybe a little early game jitters, but I think the jitters is gone now. So, you know, it's who can keep control of the table. You know, like Mika said, put a few games in between them. You know, take a little bit of pressure off and add a little bit more to the other player.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Back to you guys in the commentary box.
Well, if Bustamante has any nerves, he's sure not showing them. Another explosive break shot coming up from Django.
Are we aware what Django means, Jerry?
Actually, it's the name of a very popular movie star in the Philippines. And how he came to acquire that nickname, I'm not sure.
Ramming that cue through on a dead straight line, keeping the force of the tip, the bend in that cue as well. The force of the cue and the force of the tip on line as much as possible to send that cue ball on its path, which is different from Earl Strickland, whose cue finishes up more in the air than Bustamante's. Perhaps that's a slight difference in the power of the 2 breaks. There's not much between these 2 lads, and they really are building up to what could be a very close finish here. You don't know in 9-ball how it's going to go, Jerry, but you know, we had quite a one-sided final last year between Mika and Ralph. Once one person got away, the other tended to sort of drop his head a bit, and that can sometimes happen in sport, but I have the feeling this could go all the way for some reason.
Well, right now, this is the nightmare that Earl did not want to suffer. To watch Francisco just come to the table and put together a few racks.
As Sky Sports fans know, and 9-ball fans, even the newly converted, even a 5-rack deficit is nothing at 9-ball pool.
Seven ball down. And again, just 2 balls separating Francisco from yet another bead on his side of the string.
Bustamante does look the more composed, it has to be said, although Earl obviously gives away a little bit more with his face, even if he's playing great pool. Strickland not looking at the table at all. He knew Bustamante was going to clear that. 3-rack difference now with Bustamante breaking.
Well, Earl knows he needs to stay within himself and stay collected.
Earl still looking down, not looking at the balls. I was always told to maintain concentration, always sort of advised to maintain concentration on a snooker table, to follow the cue ball around, play the shots along with your opponent, so you don't lose touch with the game. If you look down too much, after a while you can get too far into your own sort of thoughts, and when the other guy does miss, you're not really prepared for it. So I'm not too sure how long he's going to be looking down. I'm sure he'll keep a good eye on this break off of Bustamante's.
Rack
Well, the
18,
break is certainly the
Francisco
best
Bustamante
opportunity
to break,
that Earl has
leads
to
10
come
racks
back
to
into the
7.
game. While Bustamante has been pocketing balls, you never know how they're going to roll, and he could certainly wind up without a shot.
Still looking down. He's not looking at the break-off at the moment. He's not even looking how the ball's split. He's just looked up. And he looks up, and he'll be quite pleased with the result.
Indeed. Bustamante has no direct shot on the 1 ball. Here you take another look.
No two games of 9 ball the same. These 9 balls fly around the table. Doubt very much if you ever get 2 racks that look the same.
Bustamante has 2 paths to get to kick this ball, but really not much advantage unless he can do something with it.
Well, I suppose the long rail shot could end up with a hook on Earl, possibly knocking the 6 in. That wouldn't be of much use if he snookered himself, so a little bit of work to do here.
Yeah, if he could put the 1 behind the 3-5 and leave the cue ball where the 1 ball is now, it'd be job well done.
Of course, he has the push out, and a lot of the Filipinos refuse the push out if they have a better kick in the first place, because they could of course get put back in again anyway. It looks like Bustamante cannot play a guaranteed kick. So the push out, is he leaving it for an easier kick? Is he leaving it for a very severe jump shot with a bit of backspin to screw him behind the 3-5? Earl cannot play this shot. Bustamante can. Earl looks at the table. Does he? He's not having a look around. He knows what Bustamante's given him here. He knows Bustamante's wanting him to put him back in again, to play the jump shot, screw back behind the 3-5.
That would be a risky jump shot, though, Steve. He'd have to hit it dead on, because that close to the rail, the cue ball could jump right over the rail after contacting the 1.
Unless he can just go off that back rail with a hell of a lot of side spin, clip the 1 and knock it into the pocket. I mean, that's a possibility.
Well,
but I don't know. He did look at that earlier, but
I think that's what he's got in mind. He has not even looked at his jump cue.
it was a severe jump, but I thought that was what he did. So he's going to get enough side spin on to flick this 1 ball in the pocket, or send the cue ball down the table and play it safe anyway.
Yeah, a couple of good things can happen here for Francisco, and one bad thing can happen if Earl winds up with a shot, but he's not going to. He's put that cue ball behind the 9, and what a fantastic show of control of the cue ball.
How sophisticated a safety was that? Didn't even think about potting the 1 ball. Played across the face of the 1, clipping it thin enough that it never really poked its nose out for the corner pocket. Okay, you could say a bit fortunate to get behind the 9 ball, but I'm not too sure. Filipinos, they know where every ball's going on the table. Good kick by Earl. Not too much advantage, but he retains control of the table. And as we look back at the table, you'll see that 3 ball tucked in behind the 5. So it's not really too much of an advantage potting this 2.
Indeed, a great shot on the 1 ball. Dead in the heart of the side pocket, but as Steve mentioned, well, you know what, though? This is a shot that Earl does in exhibitions, where he drills a ball into the corner pocket and draws back.
That is a marvellous shot from Earl Strickland. One of the greatest shot makers the game has ever seen, and he has pulled something out of the bag there. So easy to have hooked himself on that shot. Marvellous control, and perhaps the only place on the table where he could have potted the 3 from.
Earl still looks a little down, a little depressed.
He looks a bit flat, I'll give you that, but perhaps he's steeling himself for the onslaught ahead. He's made this into an automatic run out. This 5 flies past the 6 ball, and from looking like being in trouble there, He's turned the tables, as so often happens in a rack of 9-ball. What a marvellous blue 2 that was.
That was a fantastic shot. One of the best shots of the tournament thus far. And it's given Earl this simple run to bring himself within 2 games of Bustamante and come to the table with the break. And with a break like Earl Strickland's, you don't know when he's going to sit down.
Great striker of the ball, Earl. Sends that cue through dead straight. A very positive delivery of the cue. Didn't want to get this close to the 7, but he's delighted with the outcome.
Well, I'm sure that 2-ball shot's going to give Earl a great shot of confidence. Scoreline now, Bustamante 10, Strickland 8. Earl Strickland with the break. We're going to take a look here at a couple of fantastic shots by Strickland. 2 shots in a row straight out of Wonderland.
Well, the first was an escape that he couldn't have dreamed for a better outcome. He retained control of the table, and who else would have thought of playing such a positive shot at such a delicate time of the match? The greatest shot maker possibly the game has ever seen. He borders on the edge sometimes, Earl Strickland, but all the Americans know how he can pull it out of the bag.
Rack 19.
He looks, I tell you what, he does look quite calm now and cool. He's just having a chat with the referee about
trailing 8 racks to 10.
nothing in particular, I don't think, Jerry. Just
Well, he had chatted earlier in the week with some referees about the placement of the 2-ball in the rack. He had felt that the 2-ball was being placed more favorably for his opponents than for himself.
And do you know why, Jerry? He doesn't like the 2-ball in a wing ball position. He thinks that gives a more unfavourable split of the balls.
Well, it does. I mean, if he can get the 2-ball in the back of the rack, the 2-ball is going to come up to the head of the table, although that's all null and void now. Earl Strickland has scratched off the break in the same pocket he did earlier. And Bustamante comes to the table, and it's an open table. Here's a look. You see that cue ball. The top spin catches it and sends it right into the side pocket.
More worried about the split of the balls than the actual accuracy of the strike in that instance. And once again, he seems to go into his shell.
Just for a moment, to get back to that 2-ball in the rack subject, the rules say the balls have to be racked at random. And so where it lands, it lands.
The 2-ball must be at the back of the pack. It can't be next to the 1, touching the 1, I think. Is that right?
No.
Anywhere.
It can be anywhere. As you just can't place it always in the same place. And the players would always like to have it in the very back of the rack.
I think this the order of play here has been that the 2 has never been touching the 1, but I mean the rules, as you say, are correct, random. But I think for this particular competition, perhaps a slightly more sophisticated rule than the rule book, so to speak.
They have, because they don't want to generate a favorable placement for the 2-ball. It makes the run simply too easy.
Although how you can predict the outcome of 9 balls being belted around the table is beyond me. 10 including the white.
Well, Francisco's going to take heavy advantage of that scratch.
And slowly, perhaps over the period of time of a best of 17 rack, he is forging ahead. It is a tenuous lead, but he's got the advantage, that's for sure.
Well, it's a very tenuous lead, and what Earl has to keep out of his mind right now is that if he had not scratched, the score could have been 9-10, and instead it's going to be 11-8.
He's looking down. I don't know if he's looked up to see that Bustamante has come very badly on this positional shot. I don't know if he knows where the balls are. He just seems to be in his shell a bit too much for my liking. Does he know that Bustamante's got one awkward positional shot here? Did he flick his eyes up to have a look?
Yeah, Bustamante came up very short on this last position shot, but man, you'd never know it to see the outcome.
What a great shot. And this is not good for Earl Strickland fans.
11-8. Francisco Bustamante over Earl Strickland. And when we come back to Cardiff in just a moment, he'll be coming up to the table with the break. There you see Earl Strickland still somewhat slumped in his chair. And this time that 2-ball finds itself in the back row of 2 on the rack.
Rack 19, Francisco
Totally at
Bustamante to
random.
break, leads 11 racks to
But
8.
a bit of pressure on the referee to make sure that he doesn't favour a player, even subconsciously. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, the referees are totally unbiased. But do you sort of, when you're racking the balls up, do you try not to look at the colours of them so you don't know where you're putting that blue to? It's a strange situation. I'm sure it's something that the referees have talked about a lot. And some of the Americans actually wanted the layout of the 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in set places. So, it gets a bit sort of unpredictable in many ways how the balls are set up. But if you start trying to put them all in place,
yeah, they get a lot of pressure
as well.
They get a lot of pressure from the players about that, but all they can do is ignore that pressure and do their job. Bustamante's got to do his job, and right now it's pretty tough kicking at this ball. I would imagine he can just barely see one edge of the ball, but if he were to kick, Steve, all I see is to come in here and try and send this 1 ball down table and hope that the cue ball bleeds up here behind the 4 or possibly stays behind the 3. Do you see a better option?
Well, yes, of course, once again, he doesn't have to play the shot. He can play the push out. He can hit the far side of the 1. Decisions, and whilst Bustamante is one of the best operators in the world playing the shots, he obviously must be one of the best decision makers as well in the tactical department of the game. Does he play the push out or does he play a safety? Of course, playing the push out gives advantage to his opponent, who is in bits in his chair as we speak.
Well, just then he was looking, as you were saying, at flicking the side of the ball, which, well, could very well possibly have him come up here behind the 7. Oh, he's pushing. Pushing
to a situation where that escape... should I get out of my chair or should I just give in? No, I'll get up. Where that escape around the back of the 1 gives more options to get behind the 3. And he's tempting Strickland to put Bustamante back in to play a firm escape and just try and keep this 1 ball behind the 3.
Earl's already shown us he can kick. And he's kicked this ball safe, Steve. It looks like, I don't know if Francisco may be able to get by that pink 4.
He's very flat at the moment. That was a great kick, actually. He was a bit unlucky not to get... That was a controlled kick, not trying to keep behind the 3. And as it's turned out, he could count himself a little unlucky. He's left a path through. Whether he can pot it or whether he wants to pot it is another matter. But, of course, he can play a decent safety behind the 7. I'm sure if he can pot it, he will go for it because the blue 2 is hanging over a pocket, begging to be potted. He's floating it in. What a risky shot. He's gone behind the 9. He's got a path to the 2. Great touch.
Wow. Very close to putting himself in jail there, but he has escaped the bars.
Just bringing the cue ball out into the middle of the table, somewhere towards the pink 4, not behind it, of course. Oh, he tried to get behind the 3, and that was more risky. And he has got a path past the brown 7. This isn't as hard as it first looked. He has natural position on the 4 ball. If the red 3 goes past the brown 7, Bustamante is favourite to stretch his lead to 4 racks.
This is the sort of thing that began to happen in Bustamante's match last night. Even when he didn't get the position he intended, he wound up with a shot, and I'm a little surprised to see him play that safe. A good safety, though. I mean, you can't blame him. It was a great opportunity for a safety, but the offensive opportunity was also there.
Well, it looked like it from our television screens, but you can never tell unless you're right behind the shot whether it was a full pocket behind from the 3 past the 7. But slowly trying to squeeze the life and the enthusiasm out of Earl Strickland, and there's no reason, if you sense that a player is getting into himself and go on a downer, no sense to take risks to help him to get out of his problem. Why don't you compound them? Keep your foot in his neck.
Indeed, keep him kicking. After a while, the frustrations will mount.
Great shot, and Earl Strickland certainly hasn't given up. He's played some very controlled kicks, and I think he deserves a break.
Well, Bustamante may well regret playing that safety now, because he's coming to the table with, wow, just a... Well, he can't get, I don't believe he can get to the, he cannot get to the left side of the 3. If he could lay the cue ball up behind the 8. But now it's a totally different situation.
He may play the aggressive 1 cushion escape around where he's looking now, with a possibility of making the 3 ball. 2 cushions, side cushion, hit the rail just before the 3 and cut the 3 in. That's an option. Does he go around the back of the 7? Another option. Does he jump to safety? There's another option.
That's what I look for. I like the jump. As well as Bustamante jumps, he could wind up putting the cue ball behind the 8.
This will be a blow should this go in.
I think Earl's going to like this, and he's going to like it a lot.
He may be looking down, but one thing he is doing, he's taking his time. And he's not bashing at the balls. He's certainly not out of it. He just needs a bit more encouragement in this match, and that hasn't gone ideally for him. Hampered by the 5.
Well, if he can get to 9 here with the break, you may well see his attitude improve. Whoa, Steve. He really flirted with that side pocket. That was a tragedy in the making.
Well, that was the problem with awkward cueing over the 5. He didn't have the greatest of control. That was a great recovery shot. Very easy to have had your heart in your mouth and all of a sudden panicked on that particular shot. So, still, nobody can get that gap that gives them a comfortable feeling in their chair. They're just trying to get away from each other. Bustamante's obviously got the advantage.
Well, something I've just noticed the past few shots, unless Earl is purposefully cheating the pocket, the balls are not going in the heart of the pocket.
Well, not so necessary as long as he gets them in, and the experience of positional play gets Earl over the line there, but you would expect him to be reeling a bit. I wouldn't say he's on the ropes in trouble with the referee looking at him and thinking, should I stop the fight? But Earl slightly on the defensive. But if one player can get themselves out of a hole, it's this guy. But he's doing a lot of studying at the floor. Or is it his shoes?
No, he's got the right pair of shoes tonight. These are the ones he sent for the other night. He started out with a pair of shoes that he didn't like at all, so he had Johnny Archer run across the street to the hotel and pick up this pair for him. He was slipping on that metal grate that surrounds the table.
Yes, and also apparently the other pair of shoes he was playing with had a bigger heel, and he felt that he was higher off the ground. And that might sound stupid, but actually it can affect the player's sort of sense of perspective of it if they feel that they're, if it's a new pair of shoes or whatever. But these are obviously lower. Pool table slightly lower than the snooker table for anybody who plays on a snooker table.
Settle down, please.
Yeah, you don't want to change the height of the table by an inch in a championship tournament.
Much better break from Earl there, but has he got the one into play? Just, but once again, that 5 ball, not his friend.
Well, here we see the break. You see that cue ball jumping into the air from the force that Earl puts into it. And this first shot, it's a toughie, cueing over that 5 ball.
Very little chance also of making any positional play on the 2. Could be a safety. Could be a great shot. What a marvellous shot from Earl Strickland. I said at the top of the show, he's one of the greatest shot makers the game's ever seen. What skill for that shot.
Both men showing fantastic control of the cue ball. It's just a matter of getting to the table. Right now, Earl Strickland in control.
Well, he hasn't rolled through far enough to make getting on the green 6 an easy shot. He's got to play a more aggressive positional shot to get even halfway up the table. But you wouldn't bet against Earl Strickland clearing up here. See how well he cues through the ball there. Straight through the ball like an arrow. Strong, positive delivery.
Cue stick always accelerating through the plane of the cue ball. And this will draw Earl to within 1 game of Francisco. And he's coming to the table with the break. That's advantage Earl. 9 ball down. Earl Strickland now trailing by a single game. Our score 11-10 in a race to 17. Boy,
shouldn't that say rack 'em up ref?
Should indeed. What a fantastic group of fans we have tonight. They're just enjoying themselves no end. Rack 'em up Earl. I think we know who he's pulling for. Welsh lads holding American flags.
How do you know they're Welsh?
Well, kind of that Welsh haircut that's common on the streets here of Cardiff.
22, Earl Strickland to break, trailing 10 racks to 11.
Well, the 1 has gone in an awful position, a truly awful position.
This is a part of the game where luck indeed does rear its ugly head time and time again. As much as you want to try and control that 1 ball, other balls can come up and kick it and send it anywhere on the table.
Needs to control not just the cue ball if he's going to play a safety, but also the 1 ball as well. Needs to know exactly where the 1 ball's going. Obviously to screw back behind the 6 and 4 would be an option, but not just blindly screwing back, hoping to luck that the 1 ball hides itself as well. He's got to work out how to try and stop it from coming back up down the table.
If he can screw back into that area, he'll be a very happy man. In the 9 ball.
Oh, it's a 1-9 combination. It is very much on, I feel, with safety as well.
Now, would you play the combination or would you play the carom?
The carom. I think the carom is a certainty with a certain amount of insurance as well.
The only thing is, he's going to have to dig down to get to the bottom of that cue ball a little bit.
Well, he may not have to play with backspin if he hits it firm enough, he may be able to get a sort of a bounce effect on the cue ball. Expect to see this 9 go very close.
Very close indeed. Right down into the heart of the corner pocket. And Francisco Bustamante nails that shot for a 12-10 lead. And possibly even just as important, it's his break shot.
And how often a game of 9-ball can just change. Marvellous control by Bustamante. Immediately saw the shot to play. And Earl's choice of safety. Trusted a little bit to luck with the 1 ball. He couldn't really do much more about controlling that 1.
A great view of that 9 ball. And you know, we're getting ever so much closer to the magic number of 17.
5 racks is not a lot in 9-ball pool. Bustamante appears much calmer.
Rack 23, Francisco
And
Bustamante
Earl
to break,
Strickland,
leads 12 racks to 10.
if he can just keep the advantage all the way to the end, he's won it. Keep his nose in front's good enough. It will get tense if there's only a 2-rack difference by the end of the match. Oh, and Bustamante
The
got
cue ball has been kicked toward the side, but it stayed out of the hole. Pretty tough lie on the 2 ball here. There you see the break shot. Hello. Well, you play possibly no, you can't play the 2-way here on the bank because the 3 ball's down on that same end of the table. So you've either got to plan now to play offense or play defense. What do you like?
I like defense. But where, I'm not absolutely sure. Offensive defense anyway, with an aggressive safety, and that looks pretty aggressive to me. He won't be absolutely sure that he can force an error from Earl Strickland here. Earl Strickland can't get through the gap, I don't think, through the 5-9. That's a very small gap indeed, but he has got options off the side cushion. Well, he can't get through there.
No path.
We've seen many times this week a player come off the side cushion, contact the top cushion first, and just roll the blue 2 along into the pocket. But we've also seen players clip thinner than that and try and leave the 2 and come down the table for safety. There is no obvious path back to the balk end this way for safety. He may well be forced into trying a 2 cushion pot on the blue.
Well, I would expect him to hit this ball with some pace so that if it doesn't go as planned, he can create some distance between the 2 balls. When you haven't got anything else, perhaps fate will help you. And indeed, he's rolled into a safety, it appears. At least from our angle, it doesn't appear that Francisco has this ball.
Well, judging by that, I think there was enough room around the back of that 2 that Earl thought he could actually play and push that blue 2 up the table, keep the 1 down there. There's an edge sticking out, but it's also an edge that is of not much use to Bustamante.
Earl has picked up his attention, now watching the table intently. Busta closing one eye to get a better view of the path to that 2 ball, to see how close he is to the 9. It must just be off. The cut is probably just off. You know, if he could cut that ball, he could get back down for the 3.
I think he can cut it, but I just think he's worried about how it's going to end up. He really has got to trust a bit to luck in how he negotiates the other balls. But whether it's the right shot to play is another matter. He's obviously got a scratch in the opposite middle pocket.
Ideally, the cue ball would come 2 rails. Oh, you see. But he got a kiss off that 2 when he hit it, and everything went wrong on that shot for Francisco, because now, well, Earl's got an almost certain clearance in front of him.
Well, obviously he didn't fancy the cut, or it wasn't on. And in a way, he was a little bit unlucky that that cue ball came round the back of the 8 and 3 and back into play. Even though Earl's been subdued in this match, I think at least he hasn't been at odds with himself as much as we've seen during this tournament. He is retaining control of his emotions as far as frustrations and talking to the crowd and breaking his concentration in many ways. He has kept concentrated, even though it looked like he was playing a bit introvertedly.
He's rolled a little further past this 6 ball than he would like. He could have just drawn back for the 7 ball, but now he has to play the rails. Nigel Reese doing a little housekeeping on the table. And Earl Strickland takes it 2 rails for shape on the 8 ball. Can come right back out to center table for the 9 in the side pocket. Earl Strickland clawing his way up the ladder toward the rung on which Francisco Bustamante now stands. And when we're back, you'll see Earl Strickland smacking the rack. Back at the Hasseröder Whirlpool Championships, couldn't be tighter. Bustamante 12, Strickland 11.
Failed to get out of this hook, but look at this cue. Watch the cue backwards. Now he's got to pull it back for the harder hit. Back through the loop of the bridge and back on through the loop again.
That is a peculiarity of Bustamante's game. He's done it for years. He does it on purpose. It's not a mistake. I've never seen anyone else do that.
Lucky he didn't pull it back any further, otherwise he may have pushed the table a foot to the right. So, can Earl Strickland get back on level terms? It's been a while. The last time this happened, his break came up awkwardly.
Oh no, he's jumped the cue ball off the table.
Nightmare.
And look, he's made 3 balls on the break.
Adrenaline pumping through Earl Strickland. He gave it just a bit more, and his action does tend to bounce the ball sometimes on occasions.
There you see it. That cue ball jumped off the table right off the cue and was in the air when it hit the 1 ball.
He hit
sent it hopping.
He was a full half ball out there with the 1. He missed by at least half a ball, and therefore the white ball was careering around the table rather than planting itself in the middle of the table. And once again, it doesn't look like he can get back on level terms. Bustamante just about hanging on to this lead.
It's so uncharacteristic of Earl to be making errors in the finals of a big match. This is a man who in big matches tends to play perfect.
Well, a 2-time world champion, 90 and 91, up against not the pretender to the throne, but a possible king in the making in Francisco Bustamante, for a number of years having to live in the shadow of the great Efren Reyes, but certainly a national hero back home, and it would be very understandable he went home with that trophy to a hero's welcome back in the Philippines.
Well, you're exactly right, Steve. Bustamante has been one of the major crown princes of this game now, especially since 1998, the year when he dominated. And this is the title that'll bring him up into the true status of royalty. King of the game.
The flags are getting quite animated.
Bustamante puts the 9-ball down, now leads the match 13-11. And what a show from this man, particularly considering the events of the week. I know you've heard us allude to this before. Francisco had a family bereavement, a death in his family. He tried to get out of this tournament, tried to fly home. There were no flights available. And all the Filipino players and his family urged him to stay here and play on. They said this would be the greatest testament that he could make. And he has certainly done everything they could ask. What a great story in the making.
Well, it's quite amazing to think that he's had the powers of concentration this week.
That's Rolando Vincente. He's the manager of the Philippine players. He was one of the ones urging Francisco to stay and make a stand.
And what a great tribute it would be to his young daughter.
Well, look at this.
And what a great lineup on the 1-9 to make that possibility even stronger. This is more or less certain. I do feel, Jerry, I don't think I'm talking out of turn, not just that the fan base here in Cardiff is fully on his side. I do feel that he may well be fated to win this tournament. Wow, I thought that was a certainty.
So did Francisco, walking away from the table, twirling his cue in frustration. And Earl got a chance there he did not think he was going to have. Here you see it.
Thought he could have hit that a bit softer, but well, Francisco will know best.
Well, he really never even hit the aiming spot. He needed to hit just about the rail in the 9 at the same time. Here's his reaction. You can see the frustration. He knows that he let that one go.
This was never an easy clearance from Earl Strickland, and he has done a very sensible and deft touch on that cue ball that has left Bustamante with a massive problem. Can he put enough side spin to go across the face of the 3 and get enough side spin on to come back at an acute angle?
Well, I believe that's what he's going to try and do, and he certainly can. I mean, the man can spin the ball, but he's made a foul, and now Earl comes to the table, ball in hand.
Strange situation on the table. Have a look at that 5.
You know, when you're going to shoot away from a ball like that and you're trying to reverse the angle off a rail, the speed of the shot has a tremendous amount to do with how much English that ball will take. The slower you hit it, the more English it'll take. And I don't know if he didn't put enough juice on it, or if maybe it was just shot a little bit too firm.
Should Earl Strickland not be in a position to go from 2-ball to cannon out the 5-ball, and that's how he's lining up now to see if he could do that. Remember that Bustamante is on 1 foul. That could be to Strickland's advantage. 3 fouls, consecutive fouls, is loss of rack. So Strickland doesn't have to clear the rack in 1 visit if he can keep the pressure on in forcing fouls from Bustamante. It's debatable whether he could get into a position to snooker behind the 7 though. So drawing back across the table to leave himself an angle on the 2 to break open the 5 and 7. Does he like the position?
Well, Earl can certainly get there from here. A bit of a tricky, risky shot. If it doesn't go right for him, he could possibly wind up turning the table back over.
Ideally, he would like to leave the 5 there, clip the 7 into play.
Beautifully done. Earl Strickland showing why he's known as one of the true masters of the game.
The big shots are coming from Earl to keep himself in this match. He's certainly not out of it.
No, he certainly isn't. He takes this game. There's only a 1-game margin.
And it would be fair to say the bravery of both these players under pressure this week. Whoever wins fully deserves the title of Hasseröder World Pool Champion 2002, a tournament that is growing in stature around the world. 62 countries around the world, 42 nations competing. 250,000 hits on worldpoolchampionship.com, an internet site that has brought together the heart of the game of pool from all countries around the world. It really is a big happy family, this pool world.
Well, Earl's going to take full advantage of that missed combination.
Just needs a bit more pace, just enough. And the miss on the 1-9 has cost Bustamante a 3-rack lead, just sneaking in. But once again, Strickland will have a chance to break, to draw it level. He just doesn't seem to be able to get level, but here's another chance. Earl Strickland 12, Bustamante 13. Remember, it's a race to 17.
Well, we have a tight one here. But for one shot in the last rack, the score would now be 14-11. But Francisco Bustamante had this shot, this combination, which should have been automatic for him. And it never was even close.
Still in front.
26, Earl Strickland to break, trailing 12 racks to 13 racks.
By the slimmest of margins. And once again, Earl Strickland comes to the table with a chance to level the scores. His last break-off was a disaster.
Keeping an eye on that 1 ball. Does it set up for a shot, or does the 6 ball block him? And the 5 ball has tied the 1 up anyway, even if he can get to it. There's no good shot.
And a delicate safety, perhaps trying to nestle in behind the orange 5, is Earl's only real option here. He needs to get this cue ball touching the 5 ball to really put any pressure on Bustamante. And that's a bit too soft. Oh, that's
he's left a shot, and he knows it.
Oh, dear me. That's potable.
You could see him sag on the rail when he finished that shot.
Not only is it potable, but there is some way of coming back down the table for the blue too. And what looks like, and what would be an awkward situation on a snooker table, is made a lot easier by the size of these American pool table pockets. The game of pool is not meant to be difficult to pot the balls. If you can't pot the balls, you have to make sure you get a safety, a snooker.
Well, Francisco could certainly play a deadly safety on Earl now if he wanted to, just to play with his head a little bit.
But if he's got the chance to go for the shot and guarantee to get position on the blue 2, he will. The only thing that is stopping that is possibly the orange 5. Sorry, pardon me, the pink 4. He has sort of 2 cushion round the back of the orange 5, but the pink 4 is in the way for positional play. So he's got to perhaps do something else with the ball. Inside kiss on the 5. Doesn't go in the nicest position on the table.
Yeah, well, actually 2 bad things happened on that shot. He's got a tough one on the 2 ball, and the 5 rolled over to the rail.
Well, that's the way he played the shot, to keep his cue ball on this side of the table. A little bit of body movement there, but a great strike of the cue ball. And now the only problem. Drink is not the problem. The only problem is 5 to 6 positional. Oh, the only problem is 4 to 5. Okay, negotiated, and actually it's made it a lot easier, the shot. A bit of luck there helped out Bustamante. It looked very much as if Earl Strickland just can't get back on level terms.
That was really quite a bit of good fortune. Had Francisco struck that 6 ball just a little bit thicker, the cue ball would have wound up trapped by the 9. The 9 would have been directly in the path. But instead, he has an out that he should certainly have. Great angle now to move down table for the 8. He'll play this out 2 rails back and forth across the table for the 8 ball. Oh, who do you think they're pulling for? Their man is at the table. And, you know, Earl gets so close to pulling even with Francisco, and he just can't seem to cross that last hurdle. Some happy Philippine fans here in attendance in Cardiff, urging their man on. Now with a 14 to 12 lead, Francisco Bustamante is 3 racks away from the World Championship. Mind you, Earl's only 5.
Anything can happen in the next half an hour.
Right now, both of these men are so close to the gold line that either one of them could remain at the table to the end, and the other one remain in his chair.
Very likely that a player could run out, but there is an increased amount of
Rack
tension
27,
getting to the final
Francisco
of
Bustamante to
a
break,
match,
leads
that it is
14
more
racks to
unlikely
12.
that that would be the outcome just from the tension in the arm. But would you put it past Bustamante winning the next 3 racks? Of course you wouldn't.
Oh, he scratched on the break.
Ball in hand.
That is now 3 scratches on break shots, 2 from Earl, 1 from Francisco, that we have seen in this match, and we had not seen that all week.
Controlling this break-off is an art form, and with just a little bit more pressure, a bit more tension in the arm, doesn't take much before that ball can just go astray. Neither player able to control the table for any length of time in this match. We've seen some of the matches in the semi-final and quarter-final stages that have been dominated by players in sets of 4 or 5 racks. This has been nip and tuck all the way. And once again, Earl has the chance to narrow to 1 rack. He's got a bit of a mess in the middle of the table to try and negotiate.
Yeah, that 6 and 7 are close enough to cause some problems. At the same time, the 5 ball is sitting in a perfect position for him to be able to maneuver that cue ball wherever he wishes it.
Doesn't want to be dead straight on the 5, but it would be highly unlikely that he wouldn't be able to make some sort of angle to be able to stun across to the middle of the table. And the 6 obviously goes into 3 corner pockets. Choices for Strickland. Bit tight for the corner pocket. Can he squeeze past the 7 for the centre?
It looks very possible to me that he can put the 6 in the corner pocket. I mean, excuse me, in the side pocket. Indeed, that is the point of aim that he has now assumed. 7 will go on the other side. Cue ball will go 3 rails. 7 in the side. Cue ball. 3 rails for position.
Doesn't want to be dead straight on this 8. Otherwise it just makes it a bit more difficult to get back for this 9. And he created an angle once again. And for the 4th time. I sound like a worn out record here. Strickland draws to within 1. Will he do it this time?
Every time he's drawn to within 1, the break shot has gone bad for him.
Well, I just think it's a testament to how tough this break is. You see the ball smashed up and then all of a sudden they go perfectly and you start to say, well, this break-off's quite easy. But under a bit of pressure, you can lose the cue ball. You can put just a little bit of spin on the cue ball, and that's what happened with Earl's break a couple of goes ago. He actually put so much spin on that he mishit the 1 by half a ball, ended up bouncing off the table. He was unlucky the time before, but then all of a sudden, a little bit of too little topspin for Bustamante meant he lost the cue ball into the bottom pocket. They're just not getting them as clean as they were earlier in the tournament.
Rack 28.
Well,
Earl Strickland to break.
The option there, of course, Steve, is to take a little bit off that break for control.
And that's not a bad idea. You've got to put a bit of topspin on to stop the ball in the middle of the table after cannoning into the pack. And there it goes again.
It looks, that cue ball was going toward the corner pocket.
Oh, it's a road jam.
It's rolled up ugly another time, and Earl has got to feel like he could not buy a roll in a bakery. How many times can we see this happen?
Look at the balls come to Bustamante's rescue there. He can't believe it.
He can't believe it. We can't believe it.
Can he clip the 1? Yes. Can he clip it to safety? Possibly no.
Yeah, the 2 ball is in an ugly position there for him to escape that cue ball.
Trouble is, where does he push out to?
Well, the other possibility, I mean, this is one of the greatest shot makers. If he can see enough of that ball, the side pocket.
To cut it in?
Yeah.
Or cut it in the corner? I don't think you can see enough of it to cut it in the middle, but, well, it's very hard to see from the overhead. Sometimes the angle is more difficult to judge than looking out from our commentary box into open play. I mean, if he can't put it in the middle, and don't think he can, otherwise he may have started to play the shot. It's going to be a real difficult one to get any type of safety between the balls.
Yeah.
And that was the
great
shot.
Target.
What a great shot once again. That's the 4th shot, in my opinion, in the last 8 or 9 racks that Earl's pulled out of the bag. What a beautiful strike. Just caught the near jaw, and it's very unusual to see a ball going in off that near jaw.
Well, now, if he can get on this 4 ball, the rest of the rack is certainly available. The 4 ball available with the draw shot.
Strickland has looked the more unlikely winner of this championship than Bustamante.
Oh, no, he's fallen badly. He's fallen right on top of the 4 ball.
I was just about to say, has Strickland timed his charge to perfection, and he comes up with a dog of a shot like that.
Nigel Reese trying to determine whether or not that 4 ball is frozen. That's critical in this shot, because if it's frozen After he hits the 4, he has to drive that ball, the cue ball, or any other ball to another rail. He can't just go up and nudge this ball more firmly into the rail. It is frozen.
Well, can he play thin across the face of the 4, bring it behind the 7 and 6 and send the cue ball 2 cushions behind the 9? No.
He's
So
going to
he
hide
went for the
behind the
1
9
cushion.
ball. Well, he hasn't gotten there.
I don't think he could hit it thin enough to play the shot I suggested, and was forced to play a more dangerous escape, but it's a good shot even so. Will Francisco employ the jump cue? Is it the right time to play the jump shoot? Earl doesn't like what he's left.
Well, you know, he's hidden behind just an edge of that ball. He doesn't even need the jump cue. He can just hop over this with the playing cue.
Can he?
Oh, yeah. Really, we've seen this man make some fantastic jump shots. He doesn't mind going to the air. That's what he's going to do. He's just going to use his playing cue.
He doesn't have to jump so high in the air, that's for certain. He could play the swerve, but...
Well, he could, but that's not as exact.
He's played a swerve with safety. That cue ball pokes its nose out. It's so hard to see from these overhead angles sometimes.
We just don't know whether Earl comes to the table. Yes, he has a full ball here. He's got a shot.
And can he get
this again is that draw shot that Earl loves so much. Or he could he could follow this ball down.
Wow, the elbow came out there and hit the front row of the audience.
It did. He seemed to try and steer that ball after the shot was gone.
I think the crowd appreciate the significance of that shot. The chance Earl was looking for, and he failed in it. He's been fighting a rearguard action for most of the match. When the chance was presented to him, he had to take it. And once again, it looks every bit that Bustamante will keep that slender advantage. You could have never predicted a game keeping this close throughout the whole match.
Yeah, every time Earl gets close, some kind of gremlin sneaks into his game and gives the table back to Francisco.
Well, yes, but Francisco has a very tricky 7-ball down the rail that is hugely missable should he not strike it cleanly enough.
Well, that's clean enough. Clean enough, and he will clean them up. And you know, before this match started, everyone expected to see one guy run 7 racks, another guy to run 6 racks, and to switch back and forth with long runs. We haven't seen that at all.
Well, the break has been important, but not in the way that we thought. Bustamante, all of a sudden, 2 racks away now from success here. And the crowd are very enthusiastic towards Bustamante.
Still too close for Bustamante to be comfortable at all. Earl only 4 away from the goal line. Bustamante only 2. Back we are in Cardiff, and we're getting really, really close to the finish here. Francisco Bustamante only needs 2 games. Earl Strickland only needs 4.
Rack 29, Francisco Bustamante.
This
to
is
break,
rack number
leads
29.
15 racks to 30.
The Filipinos waiting in anticipation, and this could be the rack that makes all the difference. Should this break-off go correctly for Bustamante, he may have opened up enough of a lead to have finally broken Earl Strickland.
Oh, he's lost the cue ball into the pocket. 4 scratches in one game in a final championship match. I have never seen that before.
Quite amazing.
Well, obviously, he hit that ball with way too much top English. It was spinning when it came off the rack and spun right into the pocket.
Well, you've got to say, neither player wants to win it at the moment, or perhaps they want to win it too much. For whatever reasons, you won't see a more tense final than this. Strickland keeps given opportunities to get back in this. Sorry about that. Keeps getting back in this match that he probably didn't expect to have. He's been, in my opinion, ready to perhaps give up a fraction, but he's still in there shouting.
And Earl has just picked the pace of his game up to the normal Earl pace. You see him starting to run through the balls. When Earl starts running through the balls, you better run for cover.
Well, we saw Jeremy Jones put in a poor performance against Earl Strickland. Earl was certainly not on top form, but towards the end of the match, Earl just let his natural ability flow, forgot about where he was, and just got on with the racks. What a time to come up and mug Bustamante here. It's the perfect timing, even though it wasn't how he designed it.
I've got to tell you, I've watched this man play a number of years, and whenever he shoots fast, he shoots good.
Once you stop thinking and worrying about the game and just get on and let your natural talent flow, give yourself every chance. And once again, Earl Strickland desperate for a proper break-off with a shot at the 1 or the 2 ball.
This is where it has jumped up and bitten him every time so far in the past.
You know, it's getting to the stage, Jerry, where both the players now are getting frightened of the break-off.
Well, with good reason. It's been a shot of terror. That rack, we were just told, only took Earl 1 minute and 46 seconds to clear.
Well, that's 9-ball pool for you. We started at 7 o'clock. I've lost track of time, I must admit. We've had a number of commercial breaks. We've had 29 racks of 9-ball.
Averaging roughly 10 racks per hour.
Rack 30, Earl Strickland to break, trailing 14 racks to 15.
They can't always roll up bad, Steve. The odds say he's got to get a good break here. He's in the clear.
6 and 7 have come awkward, although he's got an immediate shot to break. Oh no, sorry, an immediate shot to break those out, but he hasn't. Forcing that cue through there. Good control on the cue ball. Unfortunately, he got just a nudge with the 7 there, which has sent the cue ball down, but straight on to the shot, as you say, upping the pace. 5 to 6 is the major sticking point in a clearance that could level the match with only 3 racks to go.
Well, I'm looking right down the line of that 6 ball. It does not look to me that it clears the 8, that he can get the cue ball past the 8 to make that cut. There may be enough distance between them that he can. If he has to come straight onto it, he's in trouble.
Okay, it would be a nice idea if you could get on the 4 correctly to split those apart and be on the 5, but I'm not too sure he's got that angle.
No.
Playing for safety, or does it pot? It may well pot. Hard to see. If not, it's a safety.
Yeah, from the overhead, there is enough of a gap there possibly for him to slide in between those 2 balls. But, you know, even if it does pot, the 8 ball sends the cue ball in the wrong direction to get to the 7.
To the 5. Oh, sorry, to the 7. I apologise.
Right,
I've
from
got
the 6 to the 7.
I've missed the 5 out. Mental blank on the 5, Jerry. Okay, so he's got a very strange angle now. Twice across the table to break these balls out?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's going to break them out. Well, he has to, though. Steve, I haven't got a clue. how he's going to handle this. That 6 ball is a puzzle that only Earl knows how he's going to handle. If he hits this shot now, there's a possibility that he can hit this with draw and come off that 8 ball back up table. Otherwise, the 8's going to send him in the wrong direction.
Doesn't look like it goes. I think he's playing the safety. It just doesn't look like it puts.
Indeed, the 3-rail safety puts the 6 on the other side of the 8 ball.
He's not hard enough, is he? He may just be hard enough.
Well, he's not real happy.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
And also, it's more or less... Oh, I'm not going to... Well, should I say more or less impossible to jump? What a stupid thing to say for a snooker player. To jump over this black 8.
No, actually, Francisco can jump this fairly routinely with that short cue, that lightweight cue. You can get the ball up in the air immediately.
This is a big shot. He has been very effective with the jump shot. He played a magnificent one against Efren Reyes. Should he pop this 6 ball and gain position on the 7, the whole of Cardiff would erupt.
So close, and yet so far away. And now he's given the opportunity to tie this match. Here you see he gets the height he needs.
It was a great shot, it really was. He was
but he's
so
overcut
close.
it.
Do you know he nearly got away with that? If that green 6 had come away from the pocket a little bit more, Earl would have been in trouble. He may be going a number of cushions here to get back on the 7. And that's great judgment of the angles from Earl Strickland.
Very, very close to that corner pocket, but this man knows all the tracks on the table.
This is still awkward, even though the ball seemed to be at Earl's mercy, as I'm sure you're familiar with now. A ball just past the middle pocket is one of the few shots, a few positional shots that the players can come unstuck on. He's trusted to smooth, clean cueing down the rail on the 8. A shot on a snooker table that would be a nightmare. Nowhere near the problem on a pool table, but still has to be struck cleanly.
Well, we've seen this shot missed this week, but not this time. Earl Strickland is finally going to draw even, and our race to 17 becomes a race to 2. Oh, baby, stick around. This one just got tight. 15 to 15. Earl's got the break. It's advantage Earl.
What a perfect time to make your play. Bustamante has been the player in command, and he hasn't been able to force home his advantage. It's a much different Earl Strickland we see sitting in the chair now. The head is not bowed. He looks alert. He looks ready. He knows he's only 2 racks away. He's obviously keying himself up for a good break off. How much will the break depend in these last possible 3 racks?
The fire has finally come into Strickland's eyes when he's this close to the goal. Oh, he's a tough cookie, but so is the other guy, Francisco Bustamante. No give up in him.
He's a 2-time world champion already.
Earl Strickland to break.
He has proven good credentials in the game. Will he make it 3? The 1, beautifully planted in the middle of the table. And there you see the significance of being able to control the cue ball in the middle of the table. Even if it does get a kick, as this cue ball did get, even if it does get a kick, the ball has more distance to be kicked into a bad position. And so therefore, he got lucky with the kick, and he got lucky with the position. And all of a sudden, look at the eyes of Earl Strickland, homing in on this World Championship.
Given that Earl clears this rack, it'll be the first lead he's had in this match in over an hour.
Somebody can't watch there.
What an opportune time.
And all of a sudden, as you mentioned earlier, Jerry, Strickland has just gone on to automatic pilot. Let his cue do all the talking. Effectively taken his mind out of gear as far as the demons that were in it earlier. And he's just playing natural pool the way he knows how.
Well, he probably feels like he's gotten all the bad rolls that a man can have in one match. So with them out of the way, he's ready to play pool.
Is there a problem?
No, he just doesn't want to do anything stupid coming off this rail.
I think he's worried about colliding with the 8-ball.
He is, but if he can hit this with just a hair below center and left English, he can spin. Oh, he did hit the 8-ball.
Big mistake. That will have sent shockwaves through Earl Strickland, and look at his face.
Well, you know, he feels bad that he hit that ball, but at the same time, Steve, this is virtually the same shot that he used to clear up the last rack.
Yeah, the only trouble is, Jerry, he was looking at like an easy clearance, and now he's got a missable shot.
In fact, this is a little bit easier. It's off the rail. And down. Earl Strickland, 2 balls away from the hill.
Cueing as well as he has through any time of this final. The sign of a great champion is to rise to the occasion, and Earl Strickland looks like he may be on the verge.
Strickland is on the hill with the break. Francisco Bustamante, who had led the majority of this match, is now stuck in his chair, helpless to do a single thing unless Earl gives him an opportunity to come back and play.
One good break from Earl Strickland. And look at his eyes.
Oh. Earl just needs one more break off to go cleanly. He knows he can motor through the rack.
Took a little bit off that last break, as you said as well, Jerry. You know, he knows his adrenaline pumping through his body, and perhaps, you know, just instinct is telling him just to ease up a bit.
Earl Strickland to break.
Make sure he controls the cue ball more than anything else. Let's see how hard he hits this shot. Oh, he lost the white. It went everywhere.
But he's got at least he's got a shot on the 2. It's a tough shot. Long cut shot.
Made a lot of balls, but he lost the cue ball, completely lost it. Well, he's one good shot away from winning a very close encounter.
Indeed, Steve, this is one shot away really from winning this match. This is the critical shot, as you said. He's had a lot of big shots in his career, but I doubt many top this one.
Well, certainly not when you realise how many people around the world are tuning in and watching. When he won in 90 and 91, there certainly wouldn't have been the exposure and coverage now that this Hasseröder World Pool Championship is getting.
Definitely the biggest audience that the Pearl has ever played before. Wow, the 2 ball down. Does he have a shot on the 3 that enables him to get to the 6? Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
He's got the red 3 in the middle. It was a clean strike on the 2. It never touched the sides. He didn't account for the 8, but he gave himself a chance to be on this 3. Still got to get this 3 in the middle. They're not the easiest of pockets, these middles.
It's down. Earl Strickland 4 balls away from the World Championship. The only man to win consecutive World Championships in 90 and 91, on the verge of taking yet another title. 5-time U.S. Open champion.
And here is the class of the man, steadying down when others would fail. In goes the 7. He's not perfect on the 8. And as long as he plays the right shot, he's going to give himself a chance at the 9. It's been a fantastic performance by his opponent, Francisco Bustamante. But it looks like it's come undone. And the man who's done it is at the table with only the 9 ball to pot.
What an important shot. Probably the most important shot of his career. He's going to get up, take another look. He's got to be comfortable on this shot. The pockets got to look tiny. He's done it. Earl Strickland is the champion of the world. Gets up on the table to celebrate this victory. Earl the Pearl Strickland is the Hasselroder 9-ball world champion, and the crowd is showing their appreciation to the Pearl. What a celebration in the pit. Wow. I know they've enjoyed this one.
There's a happy man